heavy smoke lasts like 2 days.
The what?
The smoke in the area lasts like 2 days.
Oh, from the fires?
Yeah. It's maybe couple extra. A coughing of a headache. It's like, oh man,
That's not good.
that's sweet.
Good evening, Vacaville. We're going to go ahead and get this city council meeting started. This is August 26, 2025. This is the regular meeting scheduled for 6 o'clock. It is 6:01. May I have a roll call?
Council Agency Authority members Stockton,
Here.
Ritchie,
Here.
Silva,
Here.
Remount, Wiley, Vice Chair Chapman,
Yes.
Mayor Chair Carly.
Here. All right, and just for the record, there is nothing to report out of closed session. And with that, if you're able, will you please rise for a moment of silence? Councilmember Wiley, will you lead us in the pledge?
Ready? Pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I already commented on the report out of closed session. There was 2 items. The third item was pulled, but nothing to report. Any changes to our agenda tonight? I believe for the city, yeah, okay.
I apologize. Item 9F was originally scheduled to be considered at tonight's meeting, and after being rescheduled from August 12th, it was by mistake left on the agenda that was posted on publicly on August 20th, so we did not meet the notification requirements, so we will have to postpone it to the September 9th meeting.
Okay, so items A through E will continue on. Item F is pulled. Any member of the council or the public wishing to comment on any of these items? Yeah, that's right. You got a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? I realize that most of we're going to have to do a roll call because we do have Vice Mayor Chapman. So we'll go ahead with a roll call.
Councilmember Stockton,
Yes.
Councilmember Ritchie,
Yes.
Councilmember Silva,
Yes.
Councilmember Fremont, Councilmember Wiley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Chapman,
Yes.
Mayor Chair Carly.
Yes. So now that we have the agenda for tonight, we're going to move on to the reports of the City Council. This is an opportunity for any of us that attend on any boards or committees to address the public and the council with any updates. Councilmember Stockton?
Yes, I just wanted to bring up that it's the end of summer, and I know every year, once it starts to rain, we start discussing options for a warming/cooling center. I know that the location that we've been using at the old Greyhound station has impacted the same shopping center for the last few years, and so I just wanted to let the public know that I've had some discussions with city staff. We are exploring all options available so that we're not trying to make a last-minute decision again on coming up with a solution for that.
Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Wiley?
Just a few things. There was a change of command last week at the Travis base, so we welcome our new commander and thank our outgoing Commander Johnson. And then another thing that I just wanted to bring up with you and ask to add to a future agenda item. In November is Veterans Day, and one of our residents asked about having a proclamation that we supported veterans. And so I said that would be something that I would certainly explore and talk to the mayor about. And then on further thought, he really requested a plaque saying the city supports our veteran organizations. And he had one made up with all the other, I think there's like 11 different veteran organizations. And so they have a very nice plaque developed, but I said, you know, I can't approve that, and it's not exactly a proclamation, so we need to discuss it as a council. Is that something that we want to support? And so could we add that, could I get a motion, I'll make the motion, could I get a second to add that to a future agenda item? And then I would show you the plaque that they drew up. The cost was like $297, so it's not so expensive. And I was at an event at the Veterans Hall this week, and I looked at where the wall is and where they would put it. And we have supported the veterans, so could we just add that to an agenda item?
So the ask then, the motion would be to add the plaque in addition to a proclamation, which we would normally do each year, and bring that both to the council.
Right, so they would have something permanent to
At the
hang on
time,
the wall.
so when we'll do something here at the council, but then also to present the plaque. And then they would manage the posting of that?
Right, but since it says the city of Vacaville supports, I think that we would fund the $297. So that we need to discuss that at a future meeting.
Yeah. And I would just say, we could probably do that to our, Madam City Manager. Do you think this is something that we can handle at a staff level, or just because it is a small amount and it is something that's more something we do each year, or do we need to do this at the council?
I think because we have never done a plaque before, so it will have to be approved by the council to put it on the agenda. We can bring it back on September 9th as a consent item.
I'll second.
Okay.
So that's your
We'll
motion.
do a roll call of it.
Yeah, we'll do a roll call.
Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Ritchie?
Yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Freemount? Wiley?
Yes.
Vice Chair Chapman?
Yes.
Chair Carly?
Yes. And so with that, appreciate that. I know that we normally do a proclamation for that month, but that'll be something that they would probably do at the ceremony anyway, as long as the council approves. All right. I don't see any other lights. I'll go ahead and bring up item B, and that is several of us will go to the League of California Cities. There's a voting delegate requirement that comes from the council. I know that you were the voting delegate last year. They don't always vote on something. I know I'll be going this year, and so I don't mind unless somebody else wants to do that. Councilmember Wiley?
I just want to say, whoever we elect, I hope will go to the meeting, because last year we could not vote because we didn't have a quorum of voting members. So we had this meeting and items that we could not act on because enough of the delegates didn't show up. So whoever is charged with being the delegate, if you're volunteering, I just want to say that Vacaville should be represented at the delegates meeting, because it was frustrating to not have a quorum at that meeting.
And maybe in the future, they might think about putting it at a different time at the meeting. Like sometimes business is at the front end of a conference versus at the back end when everyone is catching a flight.
Right.
Okay. Anyone expressing serious interest in it? Otherwise, I'll go ahead and do it.
Nominate John Carly.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilmember Stockton?
I'll accept the nomination. Go ahead.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Freemount? Wiley?
Yes.
Stockton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chapman?
Yes.
Mayor Carly?
Yes, and I'll just make sure my flight is after the meeting so that I'll be there. Yeah. All right, well, thank you. I don't see any other lights. Again, yes, the change of command, for those who may not know, General Johnson spent 1 year, and his replacement is Colonel Brandon Schroyer, who's been at the base before. So we look forward to ongoing continuous relationships through some of our committees and organizational operations. And so we wish them the best and are glad that they're continuing to support our community in the Air Force. So we'll move on to the next item, reports of the city manager.
Yes, I do have a few reports. So as council is aware, we had started the development process improvement report that we presented to council 2 meetings ago. So thanks to our community development department, they have already started the TI Tuesday, which is the Tenant Improvement Tuesday. It was actually launched on August 19th, and it's known as Plan Check Express. So this program offers expedited plan review for eligible commercial and residential projects, and it helps to streamline the permit process. The second thing that was launched was Residential Wednesday, which was launched on August 20th. And this is for residential projects such as patio covers, swimming pools, foundation repair, water heaters, and smaller projects. And for both of these, the information is on the Community Development website. And I do want to thank again our Community Development Department to swiftly move on some of these improvements that were recommended. The last item I do want to bring up is the neighborhood cleanup event. That's on September 27th. Again, that's on the website. It will be on, there's a QR code that you can go and sign up for it. It will be from 7 to 12 p.m. in District 3. That's my report.
Yeah, thank you very much. And for those who are attending or coming here in person, obviously appreciate everyone paying attention to all the construction going on in the parking lot. So that's not on your report, but clearly there's a lot of questions that come up on that, and that's the solar project of trying to reduce the cost to the city. So there are no presentations tonight, so we'll move on to the consent calendar. We're considering 9A through E. Any member of the council that wishes to pull it for discussion or the public? Seeing none, do I have a motion? So we have a motion to approve. Second. Roll call.
Councilmember Silva?
Yes.
Remo? Wiley?
Yes.
Stockton?
Yes.
Ritchie?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chapman?
Yes.
Mayor Curley.
Yes. All right, we're going to move on to business from the floor. This is the time for the public to address the council on any items that's not on the agenda, but is within our jurisdiction. So I ask you to go ahead and come forward. Give you about 3 minutes. Appreciate your ability to address the council. So please come forward. Good evening.
He's hearing soon. So here we are, Louis DiBartolo. I'm here to talk about our street closures. This has been a topic for a long time, and again, we had one this Saturday, and how it impacts our businesses. And I'm not sure who's okaying the street closures, the process it's going through, but a lot of our businesses are suffering from it. I close now, several of us are here that close their businesses because of it. This weekend, there was food trucks everywhere, and the restaurants suffered this time. There was no parking. There's got to be some sort of coordination on things like that. But again, we have the park, we have East Main. Upcoming weekend, we have a car show on East Main. Doesn't impact anything that's on a Sunday. The closure of all of Main Street is just beyond comprehension on what it does to, we don't have a whole lot of retail, and all of the restaurants, my business, other businesses, we're all shaking our heads on why all of Main Street needs to be closed. There's got to be another way that you guys come up with. It's got to stop. You know, Merriment, Halloween stroll is great, but for all these other things, somebody's got to come up with a logical solution on why you would close Main Street end to end. Diversion, John, you've talked about the bollards and all that. But again, from my perspective, it's talk. We've got to put plans into action. Stop end-to-end Main Street. There's merchant. And again, why doesn't the park get utilized? That's the most important part. We have it. It needs to get used. East Main is open. We're going to have an issue once the condos. We're not going to be able to do that. Then we'll be dealing with a subject we'll never agree on as parking, because there's not going to be carryover or wherever. If the park was used or East Main for these events, people are going to park up and down Main Street, so they'll be walking by our businesses. It's not like we're not going to be impacted impacted, it's good. Then you're getting activity. It's like farmers market. People are walking around because they're parking on Main Street and they're going to Andrews Park. So the same thing needs to get done with some of these events. And again, when Holden Events did this in May, it was the weekend before Memorial Day. This weekend, it's the weekend before Labor Day. A ton of us close because downtown is dead and everybody goes away for Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day. So now we lose, again, 2 Saturdays in a row, which for a lot of us, that's a very big day. So it's time people address a calendar, look at it, and coordinate on these events where it's going to make sense to close, when it is. You can't do back to, the holiday weekends. That just hurts a lot of business because you're lose 2 Saturdays a month, so which is crucial for a lot of businesses. And again, that's
I appreciate the concern.
pretty much, yeah, look it over. And again, I was on a thread, Don Burris was in the thread that talked about how the restaurants suffered. They were really upset because food trucks were placed in front of restaurants where it needs to be centralized, put away, whatever. But that's where we're at on this, and it's just common sense has to happen on this. Michael, come and see us all, talk to us. It's your district. We need your
Thanks, Lou.
input. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, here we go again. Once again, I bring the sheet that's compiled from the staff report that the county staff did concerning the cost of California Forever to Solano County and the cities therein. There was at least 2 articles in the newspaper in the last couple of weeks, both of them trumpeting what a wonderful thing California Forever is going to be. Very long articles, like novel length, which that's a good analogy because they were pure fiction. California Forever, despite whatever they claim through their paid analysts, is going to cost Solano County $49 billion just in transportation infrastructure. And the list goes on and on about hundreds of millions there and a couple of billion here. Any of you, and I say this because I know Councilmember Ritchie is working with them, but any of you who are thinking about it, just remember, despite all of their promises of the wonderful things they're going to do, those studies were bought and paid for by them. The one study that was done by people who were not being paid by them is a study they don't bring up. They have never refuted anything in the county staff report because they can't. They're liars. And just like former Senator Bill Dodd said, it's nothing but a sleazy real estate deal.
Thank you. Good evening.
Karen, I own Stems Florist down on Main Street. I am not part of the closure for Main Street, but it does do a bad impact on my business. We struggle as it is, and to have Main Street closed and the parking in front of my store pretty much are the vendors. So people don't come in. I actually closed early on Saturday. So I just hope you guys could take a sit back and look and see what it's doing and hurting us, because we are big fans of downtown. We want downtown to flourish. Maybe we can all sit around and try to discuss what good business to bring downtown rather than craft fairs that actually really, really hurt our businesses. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Wendy Jackson, and I own Jackson Medical Supply in downtown Vacaville, the heart of the city. Street closures on a Saturday are very detrimental to our business. We closed this previous Saturday because we looked almost 6 months ago when we had a street fair, and we did very, very little business. So if we're doing that 2 times a year minimum with this vendor that is coming, it really does hurt us. I'm in favor of closing the street once a year at Christmas time for Merry Men on Main. I think that's a very important reason, and I've never fought that, or half a day on Halloween for safety for our kids. But my question to the council is, where have studies been done that show closing Main Street benefits any of the businesses downtown? And if not, why has that not been done? And we have other options. We have the park. All the food trucks should be down at the park, and the vendors. We have a beautiful park. Or East Main, where there's very few businesses that are currently open. So that's my input, and I'm really opposed to street closures on Saturday. Sunday, there's very few businesses that are open downtown. If they want a fair on a Sunday. And I've been a part of the Downtown Vacaville Improvement District for 20 years, 25 years. So I fought it with them as well. I was never in favor of closing Main Street. So, thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Smith, I live in Browns Valley. And by the way, on Veterans Day, you might want to think about Chris Cortez, who was a major general. There's not too many generals come out of Vacaville. He went to Vaca High in '67, graduated with my brother. So if you're thinking about, they always talk about naming streets after people and all these things. You might want to think about him. Major general, it was Chris Cortez. And, he was a general in the Marine Corps. So that was something that you were talking about earlier, the veterans. So onto the subject I was going to talk about, but I live in Browns Valley, and I volunteer for pony baseball. We had an international tournament at Keating Park, and Keating had China came. We had a team from Aruba, from the Caribbean. We had Chicago. We had Virginia Beach, Virginia. Teams come from all over, and we didn't make any money at it, believe me, but the community is making money. The hotels, restaurants, all that, they come and they stay here. Well, we would like to see a little bit more input on fixing the park up. I know this Measure M money went to Trower Park, Alamo Creek Park, which is almost a hell of a lot newer than Andrews Park and Keating Park. Those are the oldest parks in the system. They get very little money, especially Keating. I know, and I hear this complaint at state property. Well, I'm tired of hearing that because it was there since 1961, all right, 62. I played Little League out there, all right? I've been here since the 50s, and that park does not get the care the other parks get. I mean, they take care of what they can, but we keep building things and we don't do maintenance, all right? I volunteer to drag chalk fields, do all this stuff out there, build mounds, everything, and we have guys that help. They're building a BMX bike track at Centennial. What are you going to do about maintenance with that? They're going to build it, and then you're going to expect volunteers to take care of stuff. Well, volunteers can only do so much, believe me. And after a while, it kind of erodes the feeling of volunteering after a while because it's a lot of maintenance. Okay, so you're building a bike track, and then the maintenance always comes down the line, whenever that is. So it's like building maintenance and all this stuff. There's got to be money put aside for maintenance. Okay, I know all these departments are hurting for money and this and that, but if you keep building this stuff and you don't maintain it, it just gets worse because it gets more expensive in the long run. So I think that investment and things like that will actually help the city because when these teams come from all over the world to play baseball at Keating Park, of all places, it should be like the crown jewel of the system. And I don't think pony people come here and talk about that stuff. And Jason Case's the president. He's got a business downtown. Maybe he's afraid to say anything. He doesn't want to make any enemies. But you got to start thinking about these things. I talked to the team last year that came from back east, and they stayed at the Hyatt, the brand new Hyatt. Okay, so all of these things are benefiting the city, not pony baseball, not us. We're not making any money. We actually are losing money on some of these things. But if it was promoted better and we had a nicer looking field and a little bit more upgrades here and there and the city council would promote it, we'd be a lot better off. Okay, that would really help. You always talk about bringing money in the city. Well, that's a moneymaker.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Okay, that's all I have to say. And
appreciate it.
Anyway, I'm going off on more than 3 minutes, but that's kind of where it's at right now. So I'm hoping something will get done about it.
I wrote some good notes.
All right.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I know we all disagree respectfully sometimes, but I'd like to express my appreciation for the amount of esteem that you personally have added to the city and the way you conduct meetings professionally and your diplomacy. That was a good one. The other thing I'd like to talk to the council about is we're making decisions now that a lot of people, seniors and working poor, are being impacted, and I very much appreciate your vote, Councilman Stockton and Freehouse, on the utilities increase. We all know that we're going to have to increase them, but it's just life. And I very much appreciate the thoughtfulness that went into this. This could have been a just drop the hammer and, sorry, gang, this is the way it's going to be. But I'd like to encourage the other councilmen that voted for the highest increase or the option to implement the highest increase to reconsider those kind of things. You all are in a fairly good position, but when you see people that are squeaking by on their Social Security or they're working poor, raising water, then I've heard it all. Well, they have an apartment, so it's not going to impact them. So yes, that all gets passed on. And so to you, express my appreciation and love you all, but respectfully disagree on some things, and I hope that the city will continually keep in mind those people that are not so well off that do need the services and the water and our utilities. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening.
I'm Sandra Over, the owner of the Vacaville Opera House and also property manager for the town square. And I don't want to repeat Wendy and Louis and Karen's comments, but I want to echo their sentiments and also add, I myself, when an event is happening in downtown and it's closing all the streets on a Saturday, we simply cannot book an event that day. So when we find out there is something, we don't have business that day. Also, three of our tenants are restaurants. They all three reported a lot lower sales. So I encourage you to maybe talk with other businesses and see what their Saturdays were like, but they definitely all reported much lower sales than normal. The other thing is, I myself have filled out a permit for music in the town square, so I do know the permit process and what Holden Events would have had to go through in order to have their event. And I know that it goes through the different departments of the city and is approved, and maybe they make some comments or suggestions. And I would like to see that in the future, when there is an event happening downtown and it's not put on by the city or the bid, that the bid at least has some input, or there's some kind of panel of businesses from downtown that can say, look, this is a great thing, but let's move a food truck away from a restaurant. Let's find a better spot to put some of these vendors, because we all didn't have any input at all. So I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right, I'll let you just for a minute. I know you've already spoken.
One thing I did want to say about all that I forgot, the times we've had the closures, our notification was like the last minute. We didn't know, the first time we didn't know till like 2 days before. This time we heard about a week before how the street was going to be closed and so forth. So there's no communication on letting us know that the street's being closed in that degree. So that, when you guys review it all, please look into that aspect, because we had no knowledge that up until the last minute,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, thank you. I think, staff, you've heard some comments tonight on this, so hopefully we'll be able to take a look at this and figure out what's a better way of managing our events and the input as well.
So a follow-up question? So just a follow-up question. Few months ago, we motioned, actually I motioned to bring back a study session, particularly surrounding our downtown business improvement district. Is there any word on, I know that had to be rescheduled, is there any word on when to expect that to happen?
I believe there's one item coming on the 9th September meeting to extend the contract amendment. And then there's one coming on 23rd to possibly look at a consultant who can review if, bid is the right solution moving forward, or we want to continue the bid, do a survey of the property owners, and give us some recommendations on what the future of the downtown would look like. So we'll have more information on the September 23rd meeting.
All right, well, I'll have to go look back on what the motion was, and this is before you became on as city manager. But at the time, just because of a lot of different input on downtown and how do we make the right decisions and a lot of different conversations going on, the council, from my recollection, supported having a study session, a dedicated study session, to where all the stakeholders were in the same room, and we can go through the whole process and talk about where our downtown's at and where we aspire to be and how we work together to help it get there.
Yeah, so the study session was actually postponed on request from BID. So the city has started a meeting with BID, Chamber of Commerce, Visit Vacaville, and a city. We're meeting on a regular basis to identify what that future would look like. And once we have sort of a plan, we'll bring it back to the council. We don't have a date for that yet. We have the next meeting scheduled tomorrow, so we may have a better update at the next meeting.
I'd like a tentative date for that, please.
But we'll get to that.
We'll get you the date next time.
All right, anyone else wishing to address the council? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close business from the floor and bring it back to the council, and appreciate your comments on that. There are no public hearings, so we will move on to item A, 12A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next up, we have business item 12A, Peabody Allison Specific Plan, informational update with Noah Ramboa and Payman Vavon presenting for you this evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, and members of the public. The item before you tonight is an informational status update on the Peabody Allison specific plan. So to start off, the city first nominated and created what's called the Allison Priority Development Area in October of 2008. Priority Development Areas, or PDAs, are locally nominated areas that cities and counties throughout the Bay Area nominate, and these are areas where they want to focus future growth. They're areas served by transit, and there are areas that are then eligible to receive grants from the Bay Area Regional Government or the Metropolitan Transportation Commission and the Association of Bay Area Governments in order to receive grants for planning and transportation projects within those PDAs. And so in October of 2023, the City Council was awarded and accepted a $1.2 million grant from MTC and ABAG to prepare what's called a new specific plan for the Allison PDA. And in July of last year, the city executed a contract with our consultant, Environmental Science Associates, or ESA, to prepare this new specific plan, which we call the Peabody Allison Specific Plan. And in August of last year, staff and ESA then initiated the preparation of this specific plan, which we also call the PASP. So what is the PASP? The PASP is a new plan to create new policies that will support businesses, encourage housing affordability, and enhance mobility for people of all ages and abilities within the plan area. This specific plan will also identify improvements to enhance streetscapes, public spaces, quality of life, and support long-term growth. The plan area for Peabody Allison includes 3 major corridors. You can see the plan area in the graphic to the right. The 3 major corridors in this plan area are Peabody Road, Elmira Road, and Allison Drive. And there are some major destinations within this plan area as well. The plan area includes Willseywood High School, the County Square Market, and includes major public facilities such as the Vacaville Cultural Center and Transportation Center located on Ulatis Drive. And it also includes the Vacaville Commons Shopping Center, which includes major retailers such as Target and Safeway. This graphic shows the 3 different sub-areas of the plan area. At the top is the north of Ulatis Creek area. In the middle is the south of Ulatis Creek area, which contains Elmira and Aegean Way. And then also at the bottom, we have the Peabody Corridor. In the Peabody Corridor, this area consists mostly of strip mall and suburban commercial land uses. The south of Ulatis Creek area contains some strip mall commercial development along Elmira Road, with the majority of the plan area's housing stock, multifamily residential, and a manufactured home park along Aegean Way. And then the north of Ulatis Creek area contains some major public facilities, the Cultural Center and the Transportation Center, along with many big box suburban commercial facilities, so the Vacaville Common Shopping Center, and then also some multifamily residential clustered around the Transportation Center, such as Strata 1200 and the Preserve at Harbison. So as part of the first phase of this project, the city staff and our consultant, we prepared an existing conditions report, which analyzed land use trends, urban design, economic trends, housing demographics, transportation, and what utilities in the plan area. Some of the key findings of this report found that the plan area is mostly, compared to the rest of Vacaville, is mostly primarily multifamily residential and shopping centers. The plan area doesn't present exactly a pleasant walking experience for people walking in the area. There's also a strong demand for new rental housing in the plan area, and about 43% of plan area households are considered low income, with another 32% of those households being at high risk of near-term displacement. Compared to the rest of Vacaville, the plan area is considered what's called a low vehicle miles traveled generating area. So compared to other residents in Vacaville, people in the plan area, they drive less, and when they drive much closer compared to residents in other parts of the city. And that there are opportunities to improve the experience for people walking, biking, and taking transit within the plan area. Additionally, the existing conditions report also found that the existing water, sewer, and drainage infrastructure that exists is adequate to accommodate both existing and future development. And as part of phase 1 of this project, city staff also launched a variety of different community engagement projects for the specific plan. We launched a project website in September of 2024, which can be accessed at CityofVacaville.gov/Peabody-Allison. In November of 2024, we held a kickoff pop-up event at 2 locations, one at the Vacaville Common Shopping Center and another at County Square Market. In January of this year, we held focused outreach with students at Wilseywood High School. And in January and February, we held focused outreach with our business community, doing a business walk tour, and then also doing some follow-up interviews with some business owners in the area. We also mailed new project notices, over 2,000, to residents and site occupants within the plan area in February. Some of the common themes that we heard as a result of this outreach is a large desire for more gathering places and public events, especially for people of all ages. This was a big theme that we heard, especially from students at Wilseywood High School. There are also many concerns that we heard both from students and also our business community about traffic safety, including for people who are walking, biking, and also driving in the area. And then also many business owners wanted to see more beautification efforts in the plan area, especially in areas along Peabody and Elmira roads. And so in July, the Planning Commission received a similar presentation on the project and expressed interest in affordable housing, streetscape improvements, and also freeway beautification improvements, all of which can be future policies and topics that will be explored as part of the next phase of the specific plan. And staff responded during that meeting that one of the benefits of having an approved specific plan is it does make us eligible for future grant funding from MTC ABAG and also from the state in order to fulfill the improvement projects that are identified in the specific plan. And so to conclude, staff has completed phase 1 of the project, and we are now moving on to phase 2, which is to develop focused land use and streetscape alternatives for how this plan area could change and grow over the next 20 years. And these alternatives will be shared with the public for review and input later this year. And so once we share those alternatives and get public feedback, we will then be identifying what's called the preferred plan, which will serve as the basis for the goals, policies, and actions that will be identified in the specific plan. And of course, as we continue the development of the specific plan, there will be upcoming opportunities for the public to engage with this project. So in fall and winter of this year and early next year, we'll be hosting a virtual community meeting along with a study session with the Planning Commission, and we'll be returning back to Council to present the draft land use alternatives, so that way we can get feedback on what that preferred plan should look like. And then spring of next year, we hope to bring back the draft specific plan. We'll be hosting an in-person community meeting to get feedback, along with another study session with the commission, with the Planning Commission and City Council. And then we hope to bring the specific plan for adoption to the Planning Commission and to the City Council in summer of next year. And so staff is recommending that the council receive this informational presentation. And that concludes my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Councilmember Stockman?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Can you go back to slide 11, please? So this this information presentation, was that put on by you two? I just want to, yeah, okay. So affordable housing is a term that is thrown out there that can kind of consume a variety of different housing types. So is there more specificity related to affordable housing and what people are asking for? Are we talking about permanent supportive housing? Are we talking about temporary supportive housing with wraparound services? Are we just talking about market rate housing? I just know we always throw this term about affordable housing out there. Is there anything specific that we were able to gather from some of this outreach as to what they want?
Thank you for that question. I would say just sort of first of all, affordability and housing is something that's always on our, because of our housing element and our commitments we've made there. When it comes to this particular project, no, there hasn't been that sort of specific dive into the types of housing. What our efforts are trying to gather is what do people want for this particular area, right? And I would say sort of the engagement that we've had with folks really has been, while we've gone out throughout the area, the more robust engagement has been with the Peabody Road area, County Square Market. And they haven't really, to my knowledge, gone really deep into what kind of housing they want to see. They want to see more people coming to their stores. They want to see more activity. And for the high school students, they just want a place to hang out that is in Vacaville, that doesn't require them to go to different cities. So really, in our engagement, what we found out is people's desires for, again, having places to go to and to improve, like, for example, the County Square Shopping Center. There's just a real desire by a lot of the business owners to make it what it was before, when Thrifty was there, when other stores were there, and where you have just ongoing population coming rather than those that just go specifically to County Square Market or go to Azteca Restaurant. So that's where the focus has been in terms of our engagement, is what can we do to make your business more successful. Of course, the new apartment complex is helping. That's 120 units, more people that are coming to these businesses. So there is a direct tie to having more people around to visit businesses and to support those businesses. But we haven't really jumped into, well, we think you should have this kind of housing here and that sort of affordability level. Overall, we're always thinking about that because of our housing element. But right now, there hasn't been that sort of effort yet on particular housing types. But I think we'll eventually get there. I think the next steps, when we bring the project back, we'll probably have more information on what our consultants are recommending and where we think that aligns with the city's goal, the council's goal, our housing element, housing strategy, all that. So I think we will be trying to tie all those together. But this work that's been done so far has really not necessarily that was something that we directed. It's just organically has been an opportunity for people to vent to staff about what's working, what's not working. And now that we're saying, okay, well, what do you think? The ideas seem to be more focused on economic development and beautification versus a focus on housing.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Councilmember Wiley?
Thank you, because that kind of ties in with a couple of my answers questions too about the housing. And you mentioned the new apartment building. So I was going to go through and just look at it, and then I missed the person and they weren't there. So I didn't get the tour, but just it talks about like the high end and how expensive it is. So it is very expensive housing that we've added there. And then compare that to on the south side of the creek where it's kind of marginal housing. And so I don't think that really solves too much of our housing needs for middle and low income because it's very high end. But I just want to clarify, what do you mean, and this would make me very nervous if I was living there, on one of the slides that you were talking about south of the Creek housing, you talked about near-term displacement. Does that mean near-term displacement? Does that mean what would displace the housing? Someone else would buy it and put something else there and take down what's there, or explain that?
So the term near-term displacement is defined in the existing conditions report for the housing portion of it. And it's essentially when a household, when they meet certain criteria, they are at a higher risk of being, of having to move somewhere else.
So that means I'm not able to afford my rent anymore, so I'm going to be displaced because, or another way to say evicted?
That's correct, yes.
All right. So clearly, we need more housing in that area. And then the other thing that is near that area is the new Pony Express. But I guess Pony Express is just like right outside the boundary. Is that correct? Because it's right there on Elmira, too.
Pony Express is included in the plan area.
Oh, it is?
It is,
okay.
yes.
So we just need several more of those, which we approved for the Allison area, but we can't get built. So it's just frustrating for us to want to build it, but not getting it built, or to have some things changed like they did to get the ones that we do have. So that's just my comment. I wanted to ask about near-term displacement, and it's about as bad as I thought it was. Thanks.
Councilmember Silva.
Yeah, no, thank you. Just to kind of recap, I'm very happy to hear, and it kind of echoes some of the feedback I've been getting through the years, centered around economic development and beautification. Those kind of go hand in hand. The more the area looks uplifted, the more people are willing to visit and build it up. That the new apartment complex that just recently opened sounds like in itself, and just touching base with a few business owners in that area, particularly that one of the shopping centers next to it, that business has, they've had additional patrons. So the question I have is part of the consultant as far as a strategic plan goes, and not just for those businesses in that particular area, but throughout this particular, this entire plan that encompasses it, will there be additional suggestions on how the economic development can be sustained and grown with that existing housing, with potential future housing, which I'm thinking is limited based on that map on where it can go and so forth.
Yeah, so we'll address that. And sort of going back to your point, it's the housing is helping the businesses. And I think anytime you do commit to beautification, then I think you're sort of letting folks who might be interested in developing housing around an area that looks nicer, that flows more freely and safely. And that's something that we heard from the college, from the high school students, is that sometimes they're afraid to walk along Elmira or Peabody because they don't think it's safe. So yeah, as part of the future reports, we'll have that information and that we'll share with you. But just sort of want to emphasize that this all does sort of go hand in hand. It's not that housing is the only thing or economic development. They do rely on each other for sort of that sustainable health of a neighborhood.
So there's so I say one of the shopping centers isn't in this particular zone or this bordered area, but one of them's across from, what is it there now? Just adjacent from Wilsey Wood campus. So when the feedback that you're getting from teens is we're looking for more things to do, place to hang out, were they more specific as to what they were looking for, or is it just more of a general?
It feels like they're just desperate for a place, meaning if you give us a concrete pad and put some trees there and you let us hang out, we'll hang out there, and then we'll go and we'll buy from the local businesses. I mean, well, where do you go? Well, we go to Walnut Creek, we go to Dixon, we go to Winters, and these are things that we're not only sort of just hearing from students, we're also hearing from our residents sometimes in terms of trying to upgrade our downtown. It's like, what sort of things are there to do? There aren't a lot of things to do for high school age students. And so I think for them, they're breaking it down to sort of very simple options. Give us a place to hang out. So for example, one thing that we've talked about sort of internally and shared with our consultant is perhaps a plaza would work in the shopping center. And the business owners are very supportive of that. They're not discriminating against students who are going to be probably, what they feel is a negative. They feel that they would be a positive impact on their business. So we're open to a lot of ideas. The thing that we want to accomplish is that, look, we spent this money, we made these efforts, we spent staff time, council time, everybody's time. Now we have some idea of what is going to be a benefit, not only to the businesses, but to the students and to the residents there. The shopping centers where Target and Safeway, they're doing well. So I don't foresee a lot of proposals there. But we've made it clear to our consultant that where we're getting a lot of the feedback and engagement is sort of the Peabody, Mason, Elmira area. And we're looking forward to seeing what they come up with. But again, I'm very proud of the engagement that we've done so far, because we've just gotten a lot of good, honest feedback. So we intend to build on that. And money's the answer to all these improvements, but we'll see how we can do some things with the business owners themselves, or if there are, like Noah mentioned, if there's grant opportunities. So we're setting the space to be open to grant and be open to sort of that continuous conversation with our residents, who I think have sort of felt in the shadows. Nobody really talks to them. Nobody really asks them what they want to do. And certainly that was the case for the students too. I mean, there was sort of a surprise to planners asking them, what do you think we should do? And they have good imagination for sure, but I think there are things that we can accomplish over time.
I think that whole area right there is the one part in our town that doesn't have a park in walkable distance. There was Fairmont, the field next to Fairmont, that in itself, before school districts were essentially required for safety reasons, not required, but encouraged to fence off those their lots, that right there cut off public access to that school district land. And so as a consequence, through the years, there, as you mentioned, folks who are, more encouraged that encounter more financial hardships, they just have more limited opportunities. And maybe that's where some of those comments from those students, those individuals are coming from. So along that line, one of the things in the report mentioned that there was a quote that the creekside is creepy. So the creekside's creepy. The quote was creepy in the attachment of the proposal, or I mean the report. And so I know, there's different reasons as to why. When we were kids, back in my day, when I was a kid, we were able to access our whole creekside. Is there going to be is the consultant looking into different ways of possibly activating those areas, or advantages to activating creekside?
Yeah, so the Ulatis Creek Trail is within the plan area, and one of the main goals of the specific plan is to enhance connectivity. And so because the Ulatis Creek already has a trail and is proposed for an extension of the trail, our consultant and our team, we're looking at ways that we can enhance the safety in that area, so that way more people are encouraged to use it as a tool for getting around the plan area. And that includes things like lighting, things like benches, pedestrian amenities. These are all things that we heard, especially from the students at Wilseywood, that part of the reason they don't like going out there is because they don't feel that it's safe. It's dark. They feel like there's just no place to rest. And so these are all things that we've heard. And so there are things that we'll be looking at as we go forward in the plan process.
Thank you. Councilmember Stockton.
Sorry, more housing questions. How many units are in that new apartment complex on Cliffside?
120.
And high density, correct? Was that a SB 330 project?
No.
Okay, so did they actually put in any amenities when they developed that property for kids or the people that live there?
Yeah, they have a clubhouse, pool, playground equipment.
Okay, that's good to hear. And then what is the makeup? Pony Express was brought up earlier. How many units is Pony Express?
60 units.
And what is the makeup of those units?
It's a senior facility.
Okay, so are those permanent supportive, or are they, what type of?
I can probably get back to the details with you, what kind of project it is.
But they're for rent units, low income?
Yeah.
Okay, and you said it was how many? Say that
60.
60? 60, okay, thank you. That was it.
Councilmember Wiley.
I just wanted to add one positive note. In that whole area at the end of Peabody, by the end of the year and shortly after, the new Boys and Girls Club will be there, and that will be another great place. So just in the last week, Congressman Thompson was there, and Anna Eaton and the board and I were there, and we looked at the inside and listened to her vision about, the outside playground and the areas too. So I would just encourage, working with them also to say, how can we have a space for other kids to hang out, or what can we do here? So I think that will add to the attractiveness of the area as well.
Vice Mayor Chapman, do you have any questions?
No.
All right. I'll open up to the public for any comments. Seeing none, I'll bring it back. I'll just finally add, there's no question that I've seen some changes. Whenever there's an opportunity to revitalize an area, and this is an older part of the city, older shopping areas, a lot of concrete, strip mall areas. And so I think this is a good investment to focus on what is a specific plan. And for the public, just a reminder, there's a lot of land use and zoning that comes to the city for opportunity. The advantage of a specific plan is so that the city is investing in what its future is and not just randomly trying to see what it's going to look like 10, 15, 20 years from now. Those types of environments we look back, and the next thing we know, we wonder, how did we get here? Well, we didn't plan. And so while we do a lot of land use and zoning, the opportunity for the council and staff to present and work with the public in creating specific plans and revitalizing some areas for better livability is commendable. So thank you for the work that you're doing. Look forward to what you're going to bring back next year. All right, we will move on to the next item, item B.
Next up is business item 12B, Markham Callan Neighborhood Plan, with Demir Powell presenting for you this evening.
Good evening, members of the council and all those in attendance. So in December 2024, the City Council authorized a professional services agreement for planning consultant services with Mintier Harnish to assist the city in the preparation of the Markham Callan Neighborhood Plan. In January 2025, staff and Mintier Harnish initiated the preparation of the plan, and by late 2025 or early 2026, staff will present the Markham Callan Neighborhood Plan to the City Council for adoption. So the plan is a document that will identify a vision for the community and strategies to improve the quality of life for residents, businesses, and stakeholders in the area. It will also seek to enhance and expand existing businesses. And lastly, it will identify and evaluate opportunity sites for development. The plan will also focus on improving the built environment to support social and economic mobility in the neighborhood. The plan area consists of single-family and multifamily residential. The Edward Markham Elementary School is located in the area, as well as the current location for the Vacaville Boys and Girls Club, the Opportunity House, Trower Park, the future Brown Street Park, Rocky Hill Trail, 2 shopping centers, and commercial uses along East Monte Vista Avenue. And here is a zoning map showing the land uses in that area. So there were 2 reports that were prepared in this process, the first being an existing conditions and trends workbook. This workbook assessed the demographics, land use, housing, economics, circulation and accessibility, and public facilities and services within the plan area. The second report is an issues and opportunities report. This was developed with feedback from community engagement as well as staff analysis. And this report lists issues and opportunities categorized by 6 themes. They are community character, community facilities, the economy, transportation and mobility, community health, and local services. A technical advisory committee was assembled for this process as well, and they included staff from the city manager's office, economic development, housing and community services, police, fire, public works, and parks and recreation departments. This committee provided technical input on conditions, constraints, opportunities, projects, and other development information in the plan area. And they also reviewed the documents related to the plan and provided feedback on those. Public notice was provided using a variety of methods in both English and Spanish. They included mailings, door-to-door flyers, social media posts, an email list, a city calendar, signs posted in the plan area, project website, and with help from the Markham Neighborhood Association. A variety of methods were used for community engagement in both English and Spanish to reach the community and gather feedback. They included surveys, comment boards, stakeholder interviews, and an email list. Staff hosted and attended the following events with bilingual staff present: small business owner open house, 4 pop-up events throughout the plan area, meetings with community organizations such as the Markham Neighborhood Association, community events, a neighborhood cleanup day, and a community workshop. And here are some photos of the engagement. And some additional photos. So here is the project timeline. You can see we are in phase 4. The first 3 phases primarily consisted of data collection and the community engagement and preparation of their reports. And in phase 4, we are currently finalizing the vision, goals, and recommended actions, and we'll be developing the draft plan in phase 5. And we'll be returning to Planning Commission and City Council in fall. And in late 2025 or early 2026, we will return to City Council again for review and adoption of the plan. And there will be some additional upcoming community engagement. In September, a draft plan will be published online for public review and comments. Residents will be notified by social media posts, an email list, the project website, a community event, which is another neighborhood cleanup on September 17th, and by collaborating with community organizations. Residents may also call, email, or visit city staff to provide comments on the plan. On July 15th, 2025, the Planning Commission received an informational presentation on the project and expressed interest in the following topics: strategies for providing resources in the area, how to address safety concerns, and how the plan may impact future development in this area. To conclude, staff and Mintier Harnish will finalize the vision, goals, and recommended actions for the community. In September, a draft plan will be published online for public review and comments. The draft plan will also be presented to the Planning Commission and City Council in the fall for review and feedback. And in late 2025 or early 2026, staff will present a revised draft to the City Council for adoption. And staff recommend that the City Council receive the informational presentation.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Any questions from the council? Councilmember Silva?
Yeah, thank you for putting all the work that you have into going out of your way to try to increase and maximize different engagement through different, trial and error. So just going kind of through the report, to me, my understanding of this whole effort is to really focus on creating essentially a blueprint or a plan on how, no matter what, it's like, so I'm looking at the attachment 3, it's not on the slide deck, but in the actual attachment, page 3, just a map with some designated different key locations. So some of those, there's going to be actually there already is a turnover. Like, for example, Goodwill's specified there, but Goodwill closed, right? So my question through this, like, we're going to continue to see turnover. Right now, frankly, because of a lot of the immigration efforts, businesses across the board, both in the designated and previous plan as well as this one, a lot of business owners are reporting that business flow, traffic flow is down, and that continues to go about. You see the difference across the board, just as far as like residents within our community and questions about safety and so on and so forth. So it's something that's impacting the economic development capacity. So in this particular plan, there's things that we can control, things that we can't control. But as far as in this plan with the consultants, are they going to create a structure to where anybody can come in and kind of understand, no matter turnover of individuals, turnovers of renters, turnover of different businesses through the years? We mentioned aging facilities. Will this clearly state essentially a pathway of optimal ways to ensure that we can increase the economic vitality of this particular area, so that way we can help, not only help individuals who are living there with their quality of life, but in turn also help the city increase our overall quality of life in the city of Vacaville.
Absolutely. There were a few key points that you mentioned there. The first being concerned with possible raids or other things going on with the immigration situation. We received input from our police representative that there are opportunities to sort of advertise how the city can support residents who have those fears. Secondly, for the economic development component of it, we are looking at policies and programs for workforce training that will include and be tailored to residents of this community to help facilitate business activity in this area. And thirdly, we're also looking at job postings and other informational campaigns that we can do to, one, attract new businesses in the area, but also inform residents who are looking for employment opportunities in these businesses.
And then one thing that I was like to get more input, particularly from the consultants, is the concept regarding the De Colores part. So in what ways can that help foster economic development within the area? So at some point, I'm hoping in the final report there's something that specifies that, at least that concept.
Absolutely.
And another question and comment, that I know there's different, there's a private group that's interested in doing some work on what I believe is referred to as the Callan Hill. So along those lines, whether that's trying to be conscious of my verbiage here, but at least looking at opportunities of how creating that as an open space, some pathways for at least open space over time, how that would actually activate or interconnect, help add to the interconnection of our community and families. So looking at the Callan Hill as possible ways to help increase, I don't know the right word, quality of life for that particular area by making Callan Hill open space. Thanks.
Vice Mayor Chapman, do you have any questions?
No.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up to the public for any comment. Good evening.
No, I have a question or a correction possibly, maybe slide 13, the neighborhood cleanup date error. You all want to show up, I think it's September 27th. Thank you.
That is correct. Thank you so much for catching that. It is the 27th. Sorry about that.
Well, thank you for catching that. Staff works hard to put these presentations together, but they don't always get it perfect. But hey, we got good eyes out there. Councilmember Wiley.
So speaking of cleanups, I think that about a month ago, they had a specific cleanup in this area. And I wanted to know how successful that was, because that's one thing that is talked about in here too.
Oh yeah, we had a very high turnout. We were constantly reloading bins. I think we had 8 to 10 bins overall that were filled and then taken to the dump. And at least, I would say, anywhere from 60 to 80 people that we saw, individual residents who came out.
Because that's what, it kind of goes with what we did in our area too. It's very successful when residents have that opportunity, so then it's not just dumped on the corner if they have that. So that's what I thought that different date was, another one of those kind of bins. But so you're not planning on another one of those specifically in that neighborhood anytime soon?
Not anytime soon, but with this plan, we're looking at seeing how we can set up more recurring and regular cleanups.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other member of the council or the public wishing to comment? It's still open to the public. All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Just like on the prior specific plan, this is a good opportunity to look at, especially with what Councilmember Silva was saying, is how do you look at vitalization, revitalization, redevelopment that really serves the purpose of the community? And so I'm glad that the city's focusing on this area. Clearly, we no longer have redevelopment, so we don't have the funds oftentimes. So sometimes we have great vision, and the reality is I think there's a moment where we also have to understand we can't do everything because there's a lot of good ideas, and then there isn't the funding source. Grants do not go very far these days. So, well, I do appreciate the work. Councilmember Silva?
Yeah, there was one thing that came up years ago about consolidating public utility type space. So, for example, so right in the center of that particular area is the school district has a bus yard, and so I'm kind of curious to see if there's any input on how, if that was just different possibilities to utilize that. I don't see anything moving anytime soon as far as consolidating resources that that'd be more efficient possibly, or and theoretically speaking. But it's just kind of interesting to see of how those areas, looking at those areas, can also serve the residents based on what people were saying and what the consultants see. And just to be clear, we've seen throughout the United States areas that are lower income, more affordable land, so to speak. I mean, it's one of our selling points for Vacaville to recruit more biotech, biomanufacturing business to the area. So same thing aligned here, though, when we have different individuals living there. To me, I'm under the impression that it's going to get redeveloped, and frankly, in certain buildings at some point they need to be redeveloped. The question is how and in what ways, when we redevelop that, how does that serve a growing community? And so I think that to me is why I was really optimistic about this particular plan and everybody's input. So if and when, it's really a matter of when this area gets redeveloped, how do we have that framework to help guide us along a lot of the creative and innovative ideas that can be implemented through different public-private partnerships within this area. Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate the presentation, and look forward to you taking this to the Planning Commission and where it comes from there. So thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is our last item of the evening. Item C, the Downtown Lighting Study Final Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next is business item 12C, the Downtown Lighting Study Final Report, with Payman Vavand presenting for you this evening.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members, we're very excited to present our report on the downtown Vacaville lighting study. So we'll walk through this and go through, and would like your comments and opinions. We're about 90% right now on this report. So anything you have, any comments you have, we may be able to build into the final round of the report. Yes. Oh, yes, slideshow. There we go. So the study involved our firm, Clanton & Associates, and our partner, Avari. We're Clanton & Associates are lighting designers and electrical engineers, and Avari is our consultant for GIS and inventory. We've been doing a lot of work within California. We are actually based in Boulder, Colorado, but we've been doing citywide master plans with City of Santa Ana, Albany, California, and Berkeley and other areas around here. So we're familiar with the areas. The goals of this study were to assess the current existing downtown lighting, engage the community and staff members, understand the priorities and future projects and funding sources, really with the intent to improve the lighting to attract more visitors downtown at night, and to also look at energy saving potential. Our scope really is within the area that's outlined in blue here, within the street and public right-of-ways, the public parking lots and alleys. So it does not really assess the lighting in private properties or the private buildings. When we're looking at lighting, we're looking at it from a number of different perspectives. Really, visibility is closely linked with sense of security and safety. Understanding also traffic safety, so we overlaid all the data from collisions, pedestrian collisions, bike collisions, and things like that to understand where there are, real safety concerns for the public. And then also looking at really, creating an inviting nighttime space that people will come to with good design aesthetics. We utilize the Illuminating Engineering Society, which sets the national standards. Our company sits on these committees and helps define the criteria for the IES as well. A lot of this is very complex, so we try to take and distill all of the national criteria down to what's very specific for and relevant for downtown Vacaville. Within the project here, we are currently at 90% and ready to make the last push to finalize this document, which outlines different strategies and the existing conditions and recommendations for moving forward. But we did have an inventory phase, a stakeholder and community engagement phase. At that same time, we were assessing existing conditions in the field, and then developing the study and the report over the last few months. Our inventory was done in the field to locate all of the existing lights, their locations, types, the height, and types of luminaires, so we could actually run calculations of the lighting for the entire downtown area. We also went in person to 12 specific sites to take in-field lighting measurements and consolidated all of that into the report. Our community engagement involved a stakeholder kickoff, youth outreach, 2 online surveys, and a night walk in person around the downtown, those 12 sites. And our findings in the report included an existing conditions report that outlines all of those lighting measurements that we took. With the deliverables, we have this entire model now. You have a photometric model of your entire downtown with the existing conditions report and the final study that includes overlaying those photometric results with other downtown issues like crime and collisions to see where safety concerns exist. And then developing the lighting performance standards, cost estimates, and options for different projects moving forward. Our existing conditions report provided these 12 locations where we assessed lights. Some of them were excessive lighting, which actually makes, when you're in a brighter area, it makes other normally lit areas seem even darker. So that's not good to be overlit. And then areas that were right around criteria and others that were below criteria. For the sake of our lighting criteria, we look at different levels of pedestrian activity. So we took in this case, all of the zones and kind of simplified those 9 different zones within downtown into 2 lighting nighttime areas that really consolidate those land use zones into simpler kind of pedestrian activity zones. We have all the data from each of those sites, which ones were excessive, high, acceptable, or low in their lighting, their existing lighting conditions. And with our community outreach, included meeting with the downtown Vacaville bid members and property owners, tenants, and met with city staff and with some of the public as well. There's also online engagement opportunities to expand that from in-person to online. And some youth outreach as well. From that, we see how people are using downtown at night, mostly for attending events and shopping, and how people are getting to and from downtown, mostly with driving and walking. There's a lot less bike and public transit usage in the data that we gathered anyway. For priorities, it seemed that about 60% of the people surveyed said that this would be, lighting should be a priority to a high priority for downtown, and that visual character is also very important. This is just a distribution of the different surveys at each of the sites that were taken. So we got data from every one of the 12 sites that we visited, and examples of the data and how we assess that data with each site individually, looking at what the feedback was that we received from all the feedback. The inventory and mapping analysis creates now this heat map of light levels throughout the city, or at least the downtown area, measured against the national standards, and understanding where the gaps in that lighting occur so that we can focus in on those areas for improvement. Each of the light pole types and existing technology light sources are part of that inventory. So you see LED is maybe about a little over 50% of the lights have been converted to LED, which is the blue dots or the blue colors here, where there's still a pretty significant amount of high pressure sodium, induction, and fluorescent, all of which are kind of nearing end of their service life. And some of those technologies are fading out, harder to find replacement parts, and often don't provide as good of lighting quality. LED doesn't necessarily mean good lighting quality. There's bad LEDs and there's good LEDs, so definitely want to make sure that you get quality lighting when you do make the changes and upgrades. So this is the illumination map of the existing conditions, and from this, anything in sort of the dark blue still has some light contribution. Anything that's clear is basically zero light. And then really areas of green and yellow are pretty about what we are expecting to see. Orange and red are overlit areas. So we were able to kind of measure that and against criteria that was expected in each of those areas and provide compliance maps for that as well. Light trespass, certainly in residential areas, is a concern. In some mixed-use areas, if you do have residents in upper stories in mixed-use areas, there may be some significant light trespass into private residents at times. But otherwise, the areas that are significantly residential seem to have lower light trespass currently. Other maintenance issues were also categorized with pole deterioration, rust, lights that were on during the day, tree interference, where tree trimming may be one of the solutions to help reduce shadowing. And then we get to our kind of overall scenario improvements. And these are pretty high-level strategies kind of looking at the entire downtown area, but looking at different improvement scenarios, and really with the first scenario option being to just complete the LED renovation, basically, the one-for-one repairs and complete the retrofit to LED. There are some of the like Acorn post-top lights that are still induction light sources, and those induction light sources are just fading into not having much light output anymore. So just replacing those one-for-one with LED would be a big step. Then another option would be to, instead of just retrofitting with LED lamps, actually changing out the whole luminaire head to something that's higher quality, better optics, reducing light pollution and light trespass would be another option there to be able to provide the appropriate amount of lights and improve uniformity throughout the city. And then scenario 3 would actually be adding new locations of lighting, maybe particularly around some intersections that are more dangerous and have less light, to filling in some other gaps that the existing conditions don't quite, or the existing infrastructure is too far apart or staggered across the road and not providing enough light. Even if you do go to new LED lights, you might still need some more locations. Other things to consider are alley activation programs and things that can help improve alleys that give you something to light. Sometimes narrow alleyways, you can't necessarily put a pole there, but having a mural that you can now light could help improve the whole experience of the space. Considering an outdoor lighting ordinance for citywide, exploring other funding options, and looking for other improvements. And really, which of these areas of improvement do you want to go forth with? You could consider some of it almost as a phased approach. You want to get to the ultimate, but can't afford that now, and want to look at how to phase this and prioritize different areas would be another approach. And that is all for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation and the work. Councilmember Silva?
Yeah, no, thank you. So just 4 questions. We actually addressed, I think, 2 of them towards the end there. Number 1, those electrical transformers, is there anything creative that can be done to kind of hide those? I guess at nighttime the darkness hides them, but if those are illuminated where you got all these wires, at different levels.
Are you talking about overhead power lines, transformers on overhead power lines?
The utility lines on top of that, and
Not sure if I have a good answer for that, because I do need to be clear of other things, right? You can't just, you don't want trees right near them. That can start fires. So, the ones that are ground mounted, sometimes they are used as a canvas for public art. Things can be applied to them. I guess for wood utility poles, usually the utility company owns them, and they don't really want you touching them. So I'm not sure I have a really good, solid answer on that one.
I was just kind of curious if anybody done anything creative out there. Briefly, I had some cousins a while back come out from Switzerland, and all their stuff's underground. So when they came out here, they were amazed and taking pictures of electrical wires. Just kind of interesting, just a dynamic.
You're wanting everything underground, is what you're saying.
Well, I know that's costly. All right, number 2, lighting fixtures. So you actually mentioned at the end, will the report or will there include any recommended type of light bulbs or lighting fixtures to help illuminate art sculptures or murals? Would that be included in this report?
I don't think we have anything that's related to illuminating artwork on, like, as far as specific luminaires. We do have some standards in there to understand, like, what. Right, but in general, we're not recommending specific lighting equipment. We're recommending strategies and the criteria, so that when you bring in you set up an actual project and bring in a design team for that, they have the flexibility to choose that with your team, but not really setting the guidance for what the criteria should be and where to focus and prioritize.
All right, thank you. And then the one thing that we brought up for a while now is just looking at different ways of illuminating the walk pathways along Andrews Park. So I noticed like on one of the, I forget what you call it, but I call it heat map. So like that type of map, the illumination map. Just so like right there where it's light blue.
Yeah, so this is existing conditions where it's light blue, and I believe that, I'd have to go back to see what technology it is right now, but there's a lot of lights there, but they're not putting out a lot of light right now. So improving that would certainly bring a lot more light into the area.
So a lot of different feedback I've got, maybe you've heard it as well, is just illuminating those pathways so people won't feel more safe, particularly in the winter months, where people still want to go out beyond 5 p.m. And still feel safe.
Yep, absolutely. And I think we've actually separated that out in the report as a separate project, so you can see the costs associated with that one area.
Thank you. And the last question is maybe more for staff, but out of this, as new developments come in town and there's something similar being proposed on a possibly for future developments, are there things that we can learn from this report that can be adapted to how those plans are laid out for future developments, to where those are lit appropriately?
Yeah, I think this report can be used in a lot of ways, because similar to the other two projects, we're looking at, okay, we've identified some concerns, so where do we start? I think we start with getting professionals to look at our existing lighting system, where the lights are located. Are there too many lights located in certain areas? The luminaires, the materials. So I think this report will give us guidance on, when new development comes in, what type of lighting we want to see. And that's something that we're not doing necessarily right now. We have a plan to light our streets and light our public ways, but this gives us more information on where we see issues, what could be done.
Or be mindful of it.
Yeah, and I think in the lighting 101 slides, there was a slide where it showed a front yard and there's a fence, and you look and there's nobody in there, and then you change the lighting and then you see that somebody's been standing there the whole time. So those kinds of things I think are helpful to us, in not only downtown, but when we look at any sort of new development areas, is where do you want to see lighting, but also how you want that lighting designed. So I think this plan will give us that background for future developments.
I think this is specifically for downtown. So as you bring it to other developments, there may be more land use types and more criteria that would need to be assessed for those. But the general strategies are now kind of set. There. Yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Stockton.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. It's interesting to see kind of where some of the gaps are, and definitely excited to see how we might be able to improve things and make it more enjoyable, safer, all of that. When will we have the cost conversation, right? Because there's going to be all these different options. You mentioned, are we going to replace the fixtures versus just, screw in a different bulb, if you will? When will that part come to council?
That's, I believe, in the report right now. Yep.
There's certain cost information in the report right now. And I think maybe Planner can answer this in terms of what the last portions of the report will include, but there are some costs
associated with the different options, correct?
Yeah.
We are kind of assessing and doing a QC on those costing options related to California costs. So that's one thing that we're going through to make sure that all of them are accurate.
Okay. Right now it's 10 million. Is that right?
Sorry?
10 million total?
10 million was in the report as far as the full scale. Yeah, that was the highest cost option. Replacing all of the lights and adding new lights to fill in those gaps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I suspect that it's always important to give the full scale for what you're assessing, and realizing practically what we're trying to do sometimes is solve problems. One of the problems that we hear a lot about, so I'll go ahead and ask it, is there's Site 12, Main Street, is the one site that indicates red. The one data page says that there's triple the amount of light that would be the standard. Now what's interesting is that's our Main Street. There are times when we get complaints for safety, obviously because there's evening business activities, lighting may or may not be a full factor, but in consideration for Site 12 Main Street being over-illuminated, it does create an environment of a downtown. So that is something we've tried to do, is up the illumination, and now we're over-illuminated. Is that a bad thing?
It's in the, so I guess if you're over illuminated and have high glare,
okay, so
that
maybe
can
the
actually,
issue is
the glare
it's
can.
it's the fixtures where you can have light, because there's other indications in here where the acorns seem to be the ones that if it's business, okay, but if there's a residential component to it, that's when it gets problematic because of the glare. And so maybe the higher illuminations is simply that the light's directed the wrong way.
So that is a very good point, because, I mean, glare doesn't just affect residents, it affects drivers, it affects pedestrians. When the light source is too bright in your eyes, it actually shuts your pupil down, bleaches out your retina, and you don't see as well. So glare, if you shield the glare and redirect that light down toward the ground, you'll increase the light levels on the ground, and you'll improve your vision by letting your eyes relax and be able to see better.
And I think what I would like to see in the final report is that assessment that says, okay, this is the as-built as it is if you're to replace everything. But however, if we were to look at these areas that are studied, and I've read the various ones that you have, and I appreciate the response, here is maybe a phased approach to some of the most prolific issues that are facing our downtown, so that not only are we addressing a downtown, we're learning as a city how to address that in standards. As you say, maybe some cities would present an ordinance. I'm not saying that we need to go there yet. But new development's coming. What happens all the time is people put things up, and the next thing you know, it's like they're creating the glare, because one of your pictures was, I think it was over by East Main, where there was some kind of a light performance issue. And it's like it was cluttered. There was just too many different things, and it was distracting. And so that's what I know that I would like to see is here's areas you studied. And in those areas, here's things you need to focus on. It may be low-hanging fruit to fix a few things, or you really need to think about this for future policy so that you're making decisions when you replace something, not that you got to go replace them like all at once. So like in the conclusion, it's nice to have that kind of a bottom line up front, kind of that commander's intent. Here's what you do with this for the future. So that's just some of the things I'd like to see.
Yeah. A prioritized, phased approach, and some things that might be future policy.
And as time permits, or the end of life permits, and you go, okay, here's some recommendations in those areas. Because sometimes, as a consultant, you'll come in and you'll say, hey, here's priorities, A, and then there's B, and there's C. But sometimes it's not a priority until there's further action that has to be taken. But that way, staff down the road can look at that and say, well, what did the consultant say about that? And so I think that would be helpful in that phased approach of how we would phase something and or just defer things.
Okay.
Councilmember Wiley.
Thank you for the information. I have a couple questions. If you can go to slide 11, I don't know if I just missed a key or something, but there's a whole lot of yellow dots, and some of them have an A inside of them, and so I didn't know what the significance of was with the yellow dots with the A on slide 11.
I would have to look at that too, but I believe those are parking lots. I'm not sure why it has an A. I would have to ask the rest of our team as well with that.
All right, I just wondered because they were kind of all clustered in certain places. And
But
so
I believe those are all parking lots.
You can't see it on the screen, just for your information. The people
you
can't see
can't.
it.
I have to be in
Right.
presentation mode. Okay.
I think it's page 55.
It was 11, yeah. All right, so that was just one question. So just to clarify, because it's not clear what the A stood for. So then the second question, you reported that you had gotten surveys from each area, which was great. So how many total surveys did you receive, do you know?
I would have to ask staff as well, or Justin, if you know.
34 or 35? I see. Okay, I wish we had a lot more, but that's 34 or 35 we had. And so one previous meeting quite a while back, we were talking about lighting in parks. And so we were talking about having, whether it's good to have the light on all night or whether it's an automatic light that comes on when someone walks by. And the versus if it's there all night, are you encouraging people to hang out in the park, So do you have any thoughts on that? Are automatic lights good, or automatic lights, should it be on all the time, or?
I feel in a public park, people want to know that they can see into it when they're going toward it. So I think having it go from dark to then turning on, like with motion sensors, is that what you're saying?
Right.
Rather than completely turning off, the strategy we would say is to dim it to like 20%. There's still light, and you can still see into the area. And if you know that they're on motion sensors, you know they'll brighten when you get there. I've heard people say, I don't want to walk in an area like that because it points out my location when I'm there, and I don't want somebody to know necessarily like, oh, somebody's over there now.
And I would be reluctant to start walking if it's a dark spot. So I just wanted to know what your take as a lighting person was.
Yeah, there's mixed reactions to the motion sensors, and actually, right now they don't work very well. There are some sensors that work better, but in some of our tests, they're not as reliable, and they're even less reliable in bad weather. So
Okay.
that's a consideration also.
Okay, and it was interesting to hear you say bad LED, and I know it's different kinds of light and things like that, so you don't have to elaborate on that. But so what about solar light? Do any of these solar ever work in these kind of positions or not?
If it has access to solar, if there's access to the sun, yes. If it's shadowed by trees, it may not.
So we don't have any right now in our lighting, or did?
No, I don't think you have any solar lights currently, not that we noticed or that I made note of. There are some really, some solar companies have a flexible solar panel that can wrap around the pole and doesn't look like a big solar panel, so there's a little more aesthetic to it. So solar is certainly a much more viable option in the last few years than it has been before. So I think it would be a consideration moving forward in areas that have solar access, but not ones that have a lot of trees and overhanging trees.
And so then just the last question you wouldn't be able to answer, I don't think, but our public works could. So the comments earlier about maintaining our parks, I know there's a lot of maintenance with everything, and our lights are one thing. So there is a place for people to report when a light is out. So how many people do we have servicing all the lights that we have in Vacaville?
We have staff.
4? Okay.
You have more than the town of Santa Ana.
So some of our lights downtown are PG&E lights then? Half or fourth or 25% or?
I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but there's a pretty large percentage that are PG&E.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Ritchie.
I thank you for the report. So when it comes to the lighting, I was listening to all the great comments, trying to soak it in. So as I look at this picture here in 11, it kind of ties into what looms is deemable as safe, but gives you enough light not to blind you or cause dead spots on LED. But as we're getting closer and closer to activating downtown with the East Main having residential units, we're going to be in a position where we want to create an environment where you can go from daytime to nighttime without a loss of transition, right? Okay, well, it's getting dark and dead spots. Like the last picture in 11 out of 40. If someone's leaving East Main, they're going down to patronize one of the places downtown, walk all the other ends of the library, and they future thinking somewhere in the old Longshore's parking lot. Could they go from there to there without having a dead spot? Or like that one picture on the left-hand side of the library. This ties into my other question, like if there's a dead spot, there's zero light, there could be 100 people hanging out, and you can hear them, you can't see them. And it's going to take 1 or 2 times people get freaked out. because people know there's no lighting in that back part of the park behind the library. Are we going to have lighting that, even though people can transition through downtown in areas where you're not supposed to be, there's still enough light to know that no one's there, so people can walk by, not feel nervous, get to the next lit or safe spot?
So you really want to illuminate pathways and connections, right? We don't want to light every square inch of every park or every area. It's not good for the wildlife that's there. It's not, and it really can also, create people wanting to actually go there. The city of Boulder, where we're located, said, it's actually the drug deals happen under the lights because they need to see the quality of the product. They don't happen in the complete dark.
They're pretty good at nighttime. But I mean, and when we've done full analysis of City of Santa Ana and all of their street lighting and done a relationship of crime and light, and we actually see as much crime or more crime happening in high light level areas. But that's a great segue. I think drug dealers are like raccoons; they'll adapt to nighttime. And that goes into the real-time information center, right? How much lighting is appropriate to allow the systems to work? Because if it's too much light, it would blind out the camera and they can't tell there's altercation. What lighting can we work with our city?
Glare is a really important thing to control, both for cameras and for people. So when we did Salt Lake City's street lighting master plan, and we involved the police in that stakeholder group, they said the biggest problem with the street lights that they have right now is glare on the Ring doorbell cameras washing out people's faces, so they can't actually see the faces of people. So I think that this does all of the things you're talking about are really built into the standards from the Illuminating Engineering Society, which have just been redeveloped and provide the appropriate range of lighting for each land use type of area. Being able to do this same kind of approach, we can do citywide with street lighting and understand where some of those other connections from downtown to other areas and where do those gaps exist. That would be a different project, but that's certainly possible, and we're doing that in other cities.
Okay, so make sure the lighting is inviting, they can transition, or they don't feel like I'm gonna park here and I'm gonna get my car and go to here to this part of it. And I want to create it so I can go from one end, and hopefully at some point we have the other end of Main activated. They can transition. If they want to go through the park, if it's lit, they can go on this side of Moxie, over the beautiful bridge, stare at the artwork, go past the pathway. And just alternative ways to travel through downtown and make it enjoyable and safe. Because that picture,
I'm just flipping through to see some of the final.
What I would also say, just in the interest of our discussion, your 90% ready report from about 62 to 68 or so. For every area that you're studying, I think you are making recommendations for light standards.
Yes.
So I think to your point, what you're asking for, because I get it, people want to feel safe, and so the pathways want to be lit, but you don't want to feel like you're staring at glare, because then you don't feel that you can see out. And so there are acorns tend to do that. It makes it hard to see.
So I guess I'll take this as an example here. Okay, so in this scenario one, where you are just retrofitting LED lamps in the existing equipment and not changing out the luminaires, you get these little dots. It basically provides a circle of light in that area. Pretty symmetrical. You see that happening across, all the way down Main Street, but those lights are close enough that they kind of merge, the light patterns merge together. But they start to go apart here along this path. But if you change out the luminaires to something with better optics, you now see that same thing with continuous lighting.
And those are the
Yes,
those are the
yes.
recommendations that you're making.
That's why we would, really recommend using new luminaires where you can just design the optics to best fit, and that'll help minimize additional lights that you might need to fill in any gaps.
And I think to Councilmember Ritchie's point, identifying the ones that we know that people are going to feel it's a safety issue, those connection issues, those are the ones that I know that it's like I was saying, I think you're saying the same thing, is focus on certain ones that you say, this seems to be important for the city.
Yeah. And not necessarily in the residential areas, you don't necessarily need continuous lighting all the way down. And, you want to encourage the traffic to go down some of the more commercial corridors.
Right, and I think we can learn from this because there's other paths that we want to activate. We heard that earlier tonight. So to do that so that you don't just have a path, but you have one that people feel like they can use. So.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look around in this particular one, if you come to any intersection in a commercial area, you should be able to, find your way to the next area without having to traverse through a darker street. And if you do see a darker street, you have a brighter path to go. But we don't want to necessarily light up the residential areas as much as the commercial areas.
Yeah. Vice Mayor Chapman, do you have any questions?
No, I do not. Thank you for the report, and my colleagues have. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the video. I'm watching you, and so right now the mayor is speaking. Oh, but no, I don't have any comments.
There's a few second delay. So if you're that's it. If to the public, if you're remoting in, the council has to be listening and watching because there's a slight delay in the broadcast. Not as advanced as broadcast TV, but it's. Thank you, Councilor or Vice Mayor.
Thank you.
I'll open it up to the public for any comment.
Yeah, Tony Smith. It's great that you're looking at the downtown, and it probably needs lights and, converting them over to LEDs and all that. But if you go to any of these parks, you're going to find lights broken out all over the place. And Keating Park, A Diamond, has 6 or 7 lights burnt out. I know because they turn them off at night when we're out there. We shut them off when we leave the park. And we rent the field from February to July, end of July. We pay the city to rent the fields. But there's quite a few lights burned out on the ball fields. And they've built a subdivision right next to K2 Diamond, which is all rental homes. Corporation bought them, built them, they're all rentals. And the lights that are there, eventually I think once people start moving in, they're going to start complaining about the lights, especially on K2. And that was there before they built the subdivision. And it would be nice to put lights like they have no backwash on them, because we were at Berkeley at the football field, and they put brand new lights at the football field there because they complained about the lighting at the football field. And those were nice lights. They just shine down on the field, directional kind of thing, yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd comment about that, and they were really nice and soft on your eyes. You could see the field and everything was great. And so I was just thinking that the parks, there's a lot of them, and those are fly balls at night you're trying to catch, especially on A Diamond. I can tell you right now there's probably 6 or 7 out on that. I called it in, and they said they were going to get to it, but I haven't, it hasn't happened yet. I know it's a big expense. And those are old lights, and they probably burn a ton of energy. So it would be, to upgrade that would really be something. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Comment. I don't want to sound too artsy here, but light is art, and the temperature and the volume of it, I don't know. I can't tell you candela from lumens or lux, but I think it's extremely important, not just for safety, but then an observation in my neighborhood when the city replaced the good street lights with these LEDs that are totally insufficient. Most of my neighborhood, we all started kind of grousing around, and we started putting up floodlights on our houses because the streetlights are totally inadequate. I'm not expecting you to do anything about it. We have budget issues, but I thought, don't want to see that mistake happen again. And I'm so very happy that the council has decided to work on light, because light makes a big difference. Teaching gig at one of the hospitals down in Walnut Creek, that couple of evenings, we went downtown. Some people might have had a beer, but the lighting was so inviting. You wanted to be downtown. So we went out to eat and this and that, and what a big difference lights make. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi there.
Roberto Valdez, as you know me, longtime resident, but I'm also speaking to you, and I have questions, two questions actually, as the current chair for the Napa Solano Audubon Society. So again, I'd like to be clear as to what you were saying earlier, and I appreciate, I think you answered these questions, but I'm not too sure. And I don't see that in the data that you presented in your presentation, even when you pointed out some areas that are less light and others that are more lighted for several reasons, social, whatever, crime, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, prevention. But I want to know, in your study, did you include or address the impact to the wildlife, especially birds? There are studies about this, scientific studies that you probably can access and include that to improve that before you make your final decision. Because I would think once you make your final decision, it's going to be very hard to change the lighting downtown. And some people like light, some people don't like light. Some people can tolerate heat, others like cool. But in regard to what Mrs. Wiley and she shared a really good point. I don't see that in your data too, in your maps, that you've shown where the sensor types are light. I would be more interested in that. Other people may feel more secure with permanent lighting, but I think you should think about energy saving, other aspects, not just about fighting crime or preventing crime. I don't know if we can do that. I think we are, but you never know. We're living in desperate times. Anyway, just to be clear, I just want to know exactly what you did or including.
So our
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is it a question that I answer, or you?
Well, hold on a second. It's okay. You can have a seat, and when I bring it back, I'll have him answer all the questions.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. Anyone else addressing the council? All right. I'm going to close this portion and bring it back. Obviously, there's a question about the impact on birds, wildlife, and also energy. So.
Yeah, so we do and have encouraged the reduction of light pollution and more downward directed light. We're also recommending warm color temperature, which has less impact on wildlife and humans and human health in general. We have, I guess, lighting controls we would encourage. I'd have to go back and see how much we talk about lighting controls. We do think that you can dim lights later at night and still maintain good visibility, which would also reduce impact, of light on wildlife, especially around the park and the creek area. We do work with one of the leading scientists in this that studies this, and have included them in many of our plans. Dr. Travis Longcore out of UCLA has studied the effect of light on many other species. Being a downtown plan here, we didn't specifically include some of those studies here on wildlife, but our strategies do address those things.
Well, obviously, just one other comment from the public was more about ball fields and parks. You studied a park, but not a ball field. I think, though, that the city staff has worked in the past on what that looks like for recreational uses around residential, but that wasn't something that you were asked to study, so I don't think we're asking you to include that. I think this is just more for staff as we focus on the boundary between parks and recreation and residential and business, that in the future we find ways to we restrict the light so that maybe we can use the parks at night and it not be disruptive to neighbors. 'Cause I'm sure that that's something you've seen as well. Near airports, we have an airport. So thank you. I think that's, all we needed tonight was feedback from us and to receive this so that you can move forward. Is there any other action item that we need? Okay. Well, I do appreciate it. If only one last thing based upon what was said, lighting is also aesthetics. There's something that I hear, and it's how you feel about when you're in an environment. Consistency and temperature as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Do you make recommendations in your report on that?
Yes, for color temperature, yes. Warmer color temperature, and I believe we're at 3,000 Kelvin.
3,000 seems to be is that right?
3,000 is, I think, was that even included in the public engagement? It was, yeah. So we get public comment on the color temperatures.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for the presentation, and look forward to the final report. And this is useful for the rest of the city as well. While we're focusing on one area, we learn a lot, so appreciate it. Great questions from the public as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, there's no more business items, and closed session was completed in the first session, so we will not be going into closed session or needing to go back into closed session. So with that, we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Good night, Vacaville.